I think I might have to make this my new profile picture.
Oh, thank you.
You're out of coffee.
Am I? All right, give me a pen.
Yes, ma'am. I figured I'd just top it off with that extreme stuff.
If they're all empty, then secure that. Excuse me. Yeah, I just Yeah. What else, Rick? That's you.
For a second there, I thought the Carhartt was a passed out employee. I couldn't see it over the top of the speakers either. Or headphones? Yeah, headphones.
All right, that's the copy head?
Yes, ma'am. Uh-oh.
$1.19. We'll be ready this year.
I'm gonna go sit on my duff and be comfortable.
That's exactly right, right?
All that she wants is another baby. She's gone wrong. All that she wants is another baby. Ooh. I'll be right back. I gotta go grab a pen. All right. There it is. Someone calling themselves Pyronic typed, "Who are you?" I'm Batman. Who the hell are you? I'm Shawn David Schwartz. I'm a guy who was stalked by some drug addicts and their friends and family for over a year. And then one of those drug addicts ended up getting her brains blown out, and it was pretty popular. So it's been all over the world. People make stories about Natalie Bollinger. By the way, Shawn David Schwartz is my real name. I'm pretty sure Ironic Pyronic is not your real name. Being stuck in my car, if I had 2 smartphones, I could manage it. I could record my calls live, as well as Ironic Pyronic type. You got me. Right? Gotta have a sense of humor somehow. Anyway, I got a pencil now, so I'm gonna go write a phone number down. It's pretty important. Make sure I take my walking stick. There's times where, let's say I need to try to talk to a police officer in person. I gotta be able to show them the evidence, but I also have to be able to record the situation. And because they can just arrest me and abuse me and torture me in jails until I give them what they want. It's gotta be recorded live. Alright. Had to make sure I wrote down the number for Cricket. Had to make sure I wrote down the number for Cricket. Ironic, pyronic type sounds fun. What's it about? Someone calling themselves Mother of Spiders typed. Hi Sean, big fan of the beard. Alright, I'm assuming you guys are probably from, let me guess, Discord. Couple of them video gamers. I know there's a delay, so it'll take a minute for you to respond. No? You should look up the name Natalie Bollinger. Mother of Spiders typed, oh my go. What's that about, my beard? Anyway, the cricket thing is, even though the cricket store here is closed down, because they don't have anyone to work, they're supposed to have a free phone for homeless folks. I spend money every month on this phone. It's falling apart, it's cracked, it's full of evidence. I need another one. There's supposed to be help for this, and there's a lot of different places where I've been told about these supposedly free phones, but running around in circles. A whole bunch of places didn't get me one. I finally got a phone day before yesterday from this place up here. It's a fucking cheesy ass flip phone. Cost the taxpayers $125 fucking dollars for a piece of shit flip phone. And it's not even a new flip phone. It's fucking refurbished. Now, I don't mean to complain here, but there needs to be some semblance of fucking safety for people out on the fucking streets. I shouldn't have to depend on fucking crooked cops to treat all homeless people like they're junkies. And I shouldn't have to depend on fucking junkies that are afraid of the cops. So I need 2 smartphones. I need one smartphone that I can make the phone call on, and another smartphone to make sure that I can record it live. So the cops can't lock me up on trumped up charges and fucking hold me until I can't get out. Until they've had their hands all over my fucking evidence, or they've found a way to fucking throw it away. Like they tried to do in Rawlins, Wyoming. Y'all got no idea what this hell is really like, being falsely accused, and all your friends and family look the other way. They don't care how much you're abused, especially if you're a male. They figure if they don't look, it means nothing happened. And that's what it's like living in the United States as a homeless and disabled male, especially after what happened to Natalie Bollinger. Ironic Pyronic typed, what are you doing on YouTube? Speaking out for our rights and showing what it's really like out here on the streets. Showing why we have to constantly be looking over our shoulder. Why it is that we have to stay with our things at all points in time so our shit doesn't get stolen. Why it is that it's not appropriate for you to have to try to turn this shit in from public. And how people want to complain when they're in public and they get recorded. They don't want to be recorded. They don't want to be recorded. Poor them. They don't want their private shit out there. Well, it's not private if you're in fucking public. On the bright side, most of you have the luxury of not being stuck in public. You can go to your home. I don't have a home. The closest I used to have to a home was taken away because my best friend got her brains blown out. She was literally the last person I could count as a friend. Ironic Pyronic typed, what do you do to make money or living? I'm disabled. I have to live off of disability money, $800 a month, which isn't enough to live on anywhere, especially when your credit sucks and when you've been completely fucked over for 6 years. Every part of my finances have been fucked. All of my friendships have been fucked. That's what happens when you're a disabled homeless man. That's what happens when people accuse you of shit you didn't do. And then rather than admitting that they made a mistake, they just slander you in other ways. Natalie Bollinger and her friends and family stalked me for over a year before she was killed because they were fucking embarrassed. I'm autistic. My predators get to pretend like I'm schizophrenic. They get to pretend that I'm on drugs too. I have Tourette syndrome. That's not the same as being on drugs. Meanwhile, Natalie's autopsy showed that she was on drugs. The last thing through her brain was one of her boyfriend's 9mm. He's not in prison because he's not the one that pulled the trigger. Mother of Spiders typed, in what way are you disabled? Well, I have a wedge in my T11, T12. I also have damage in my L3 and L5 vertebrae. I also have nerve damage in both my wrists from assaults by Waylon Lolotai. You can look his name up, Waylon Lolotai. He's no longer a police officer because he couldn't stop assaulting homeless people. He assaulted 7 more homeless people after he assaulted me. He was on the news for it. But the only 2 people that they cared about, the news or the general public, was the 2 black men who lived in houses. Sammy Leon Lawrence IV and Zayd Atkinson. Meanwhile, they didn't give 2 shits about Teresa Macelia. They didn't give 2 shits about me. The mentally ill tag means that I can't get help without a friend or family member who cares. I'm too easy for them to blow off. I'm intelligent and I've learned to normalize or pretend like I'm one of you guys. But I can't hold on to that forever. I need to be allowed to be who I am, even though it's different. It's not harmful. But your solution is to harm me repeatedly. To call me mentally ill. See, that's always the excuse for these school shooters, isn't it? They're mentally ill, huh? There are things here in the United States that will make you less of a human being as far as the general public goes. Being homeless is the top tier of who people hate. Here in the United States, you're not allowed to hate Jewish people anymore. You're not allowed to hate homosexuals anymore. You're not allowed to hate blacks anymore. You are allowed to hate the homeless. You're allowed to murder the homeless. We've got people all over the United States murdering homeless people. They get a tiny thing on the back page about somebody murdered a homeless person and got away with it. It's because people don't think they have to do their jobs for the disabled or the homeless because nobody's going to listen to them. If anyone cared about them, they'd have gone in with that disabled person. My intelligence is used to deny my rights as a disabled person. And then the police officers I'm trying to turn in assign disabilities to me that I don't even have. Type up the name Marcia Estrada, Marciaestrada, LMHP. You look that up on my YouTube channel, you'll see a few conversations with her. I've got about a dozen of them, well, half a dozen that are recorded, plus at least half a dozen with Penny Cooper. They're supposed to work together. Penny Cooper was supposed to be my caseworker, and Marcia Estrada was supposed to be my therapist. All they would do is the therapy stuff. Marcia Estrada was telling me that it is Penny Cooper's job to be an advocate, but she wasn't advocating. Instead, what they wanted me to do is to move, but they weren't helping me to move. They wanted me to jump through a bunch of hoops for housing. I'd already gone through all of the hoops for housing, and once I got housing, I was ignored. A lot of these agencies, because they were committing felonies, like Region 1. Region 1 doesn't operate anymore. They committed a lot of felonies against me. One of their employees in specific, by the name of Jen Beebe, committed a lot of felonies. Later on, she became a guard at the Scottsbluff County Jail. Now, all this is because the cops didn't want to admit that they didn't do their fucking jobs. Ironic typed, I feel for you, man. I can't say I know what it's like, but I wish you good health. I don't. I want my life to end as quickly as possible. I don't want to live through this. Who would? Oh, froze up. Now, there's not very many places that I can go. As a homeless and disabled male, I have very limited options because of the abuse that I have had to endure at the hands of police and at the hands of, well, many places that are taking your taxpayer dollars to not help us. That is not help. Forcing us to waste our $800 a month on going to appointment after appointment or after appointment. It eats up all of our time. It eats up all of our money. I am disabled. I require that money to survive on. Meanwhile, I have nowhere to go. I was forced into homelessness because Natalie Bollinger got her brains blown out. Natalie Bollinger did that to herself. She was the one who was too much of a coward to stand up to her family. Unfortunately for Natalie Bollinger, she's not the only person she got killed. Unfortunately for all of us, Natalie is not the only person that Natalie got killed. Unfortunately, people not listening to me about the Boulder Police Department resulted in several of the officers that I tried to turn in killing people. That's right, they literally killed people. Waylon Lolatai was not the worst of them. All he was doing was beating the shit out of homeless people. Yeah, that's all he was doing. How horrible. Anyway, I have nowhere to go. I drive around wishing that I had somewhere to go. When I have money on the first of the month, I make a few cruises around, try to find a place close to town where I might be able to actually bury my stuff and myself and have a nice little fucking covered hovel. But I'm going to need a place that's close to town that I know that I'm not going to get fucked with for a couple of days. There's a lot of people out here on the streets here that are drug addicts. That's different than Boulder, Colorado. In Boulder, Colorado, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of drug addicts, both in houses and on the streets. But the majority of the homeless people that I knew there didn't do drugs, didn't drink alcohol, and had jobs. A lot of them that are stoners, they still had jobs. I'm going to go into Goodwill here. I don't really have any money to be spending on anything. You know, I have to worry about survival, and I also have to worry about necessities. A lot of the stuff that I get that people think is stupid, I get it because hopefully I'll be able to get a camp where I won't get fucked with. The thing is, people expect me to do all this electronic shit with electronic evidence up in the fucking mountains. There's no fucking power outlets out there, and there's certainly no goddamn cell phone service. Now, if I had two smartphones, this broken phone here, I could continue to pay for it for at least a month or two. Get one of those free government phones, and while I transition it over, which will take several months, it's not something where I can just transfer all the stuff from one to the other. It's not like that. I can't fuck with the evidence on a phone. And I have to be able to use it when I make calls so that I can record it live. For my safety. So they can't pretend that it didn't happen. There's evidence of it. Although they do pretend that it didn't happen, even with evidence of it. That's how they've been able to keep evidence out of court, by pretending I'm schizophrenic and saying I made everything up. That's why I have a channel. In Dual County alone, the officers there on 11 different occasions pressed false charges against me for trying to turn them in. I was literally sent to prison on false charges. That's right, I spent 7 months locked up because what they were trying to do is convince the doctor to claim that I was schizophrenic. 4 doctors there were very, very pissed off that they were told by Scott DaCosta that I was schizophrenic. By the way, that's the sheriff of Dual County I was trying to turn in. He had assaulted me about a month before, and it was over a situation where I was trying to turn in predators in Nebraska, including a registered sex offender in Nebraska named Robert Warnick. Robert Franklin Warnick. W-A-R-N-I-C-K. You can look his name up. Ironic, Pyronic type. Well, don't do that, man. It's sad that some people are thrown out and aren't given a chance. I think you need to keep your head up and stay strong. You know, that's bullshit advice. It's like telling somebody they just need to love themselves. This channel is to try to reach out and get help turning this shit in. Years of abuse. Not just against me, against the elderly and children as well. There's people out here like Miss Jamie. If you type the words Jamie again on my channel, you'll get to see a situation in the Dalles, Oregon, where a woman named Jamie, who's got some mental issues, was assaulted at a church parking lot. That church parking lot is where the police and the other services send people who are on the streets in an unsafe situation. Meanwhile, this church parking lot is run like a prison yard. And Jamie was a lady there who's frequently abused. I don't know how often she's raped and beaten, but I would venture to say 3 to 5 times a week. Now in that video, Jamie again, in the first 30 seconds of the video, you get to see that man follow Jamie while she's screaming at him to get away from her. She's trying to get away from him, and he just keeps pursuing her. And then he punches her in the back of the head. You tell people to just walk away. You know what? Predators won't let you walk away. That situation in Virginia with Natalie, I walked away. Predators don't let you walk away. And that's what you don't want to hear. You tell somebody who's being victimized that they just need to take it, just let it happen, and so on and so forth. Well, that doesn't work. A lot of people have advice like keep your head up and stay strong, or you just need to love yourself. That doesn't fix the problem. That's like fake it till you make it. No, that's BS advice. That's horrible to hear. Oh, you know, it matters on how you take it. No, it doesn't. It's not help. It's not speaking out about this abuse. When you want to generalize about it, like, oh, well, it's bad to abuse homeless people, okay? It's bad to abuse the elderly, okay? It's bad to abuse disabled people, okay? All right, well, you said that it's bad, but what are you doing about the actual victims? What are you doing to help them to turn it in? Charcoal pencils, oh my God. Oh, $2.99. I'm pretty broke. Ooh, I'm crayon. Yeah, I'm there. Chalk. $6.99. I don't have the money for that either. Used to be an artist once. Oh, this stuff is nice. I use this stuff on my ghillie suits. Oh. It's got multiple types of really, really good tight line. You can make a basket. Oh, it's for making baskets. That makes me feel smart. Had a picture right there. I'm like, oh yeah, let's make baskets with it. Yeah, it's got the instructions for making baskets. Anyway, when you tell somebody they just need to love themselves, what you're saying that you believe they don't love themselves. And that's the problem. If someone's getting beaten up and you tell them they just need to love themselves, well, if they're getting beaten up, telling them they just need to love themselves isn't going to stop that. And the longer it takes you to figure that out, the more abuse they have to take. Very cool. Bluebirds. There's also a lot of advice that people like to give, like, well, have you tried talking to the police? Yes. And I had to do it alone, that's why they blew me off. They say, have you tried APS? Yes. And I had to do it alone, that's why they blew me off. Have you called the Department of Health and Human Services? I have, but I had to do so alone, that's why they blew me off. When you're called mentally ill, you have no rights unless somebody actually cares about you. There is no other way to do it. You have to go to your friends and family members and hope that they care. They're going to tell you to go to these services. They're going to blow you off if you don't go in with friends and family members. And those friends and family members are going to talk to you like you're retarded. Like if you go in by yourself, it's magically going to fix everything. No, that's not how it is. That's not how it is for us. Anyways. There's a lady looking for a cane yesterday. If I see her again, I'm going to tell her there's one of the nice metal ones because it doesn't look like she got one of the two that was in here. Now, I firmly believe that no victim should be left behind. That's regardless of age, regardless of gender, and regardless of skin color. For many of you, you're very sexist about who is even allowed to be a victim. Oh, you can't be a victim, you don't have the right rights. You've all been there. Every one of you has had to deal with that in at least some degree. That's really cool. That's even cooler. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think it worked too good. It's half price though. It's only $1. Maybe I'll come back and take a look at it in a little bit. Part of it might work for a propeller, right? We'll have to really take a look at it though. It probably won't work. There's a lot of stuff that I'm able to make, but I don't have a place to do it. Without having my own place, I have to ask others for permission. And that sucks when it's something important. When you have to take care of important legal stuff and you're stuck with a roommate who's drunk. And then his drunk girlfriend comes over and picks him up. That's just crazy. One moment. typed, ironic, Pyronic typed, oh, don't do that, man. It's sad that some people are thrown out and aren't given a chance. I think, oh, Mother of Spiders type, what you're looking for at the store. Mostly standing room where I'm not getting rained on and possibly a cheap trinket. There's stuff that's on my I need it list, but I'm pretty close to broke already. And I might have to buy a phone and service, which will end up being over $100. Probably closer to 160 if I have to go all the way to Portland to do it. And my car is not exactly safe to drive. Ironic, Pyronic typed, I'm saying it not to be nice. You were talking about how horrible your life is and you're not going to achieve anything if you don't have a mindset that is optimistic. Alright, asswipe, let me explain it to you like this. I'm sure you can handle an insult or two. What you just typed shows your assumptions. You want to pretend that my mindset is not optimistic. If my mindset was not optimistic, I'd have blown my head off already. Instead of assuming that I'm being a pessimist, why don't you pay attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth? A lot of people have nice things to say, and they may not mean them just to throw something out there, but you know what? I'm sorry's don't help anyone. Alright, is that useful? Not to me, but it is good looking. Alright. I didn't find anything I must have here. A lot of times people say stuff without stopping to think about what it is that they're saying. Without taking seriously the situation. Without understanding the gravity of the situation or even any of the details. They want to give advice, and that's the worst thing you can do. Oh, that is so cool. Oh, that's cool too. Hello? Hello? Supposed to be some sort of microphone, but must not have batteries, so they must be dead. Those are cool glasses. Anyway, ironic, Pyronic type. I'm saying it not to be nice. You were talking about how horrible your life is and you're not going to achieve anything if you don't have a mindset that's optimistic. I do have a mindset that's optimistic. That's what my YouTube channel is about. Keep on speaking until you get heard. One of the problems that many of the survivors of this kind of abuse have an issue with is that they're not willing to speak up for anybody else, and as a result, a lot of other people who are going through exactly the same thing that they could work together with. Instead of them working together, they're just trying to get their voices heard. Kind of like going to an AA meeting. You know, you've got 30 alcoholics, each one of them has got a story to tell. Most of them are going to whine about their life, but they're not doing anything except talking about it. Many of them also get a government-appointed therapist, so we're supporting a bunch of therapists who don't do anything. When we're abused, we're sent to therapy. Therapy doesn't put our predators behind bars. Therapy doesn't stop them from doing it again. Therapy doesn't create a situation where we won't have to beat one of these predators to death. How many of you really want to beat a predator to death? How many of you think that sounds like fun? I don't. Now for me, having so many people threaten to kill me and threaten to kill my family, and of course, being told I just need to ignore it. If I ignore it long enough, it'll just go away. No, it doesn't. The damage done to your credit doesn't just go away. The damage done to your reputation and the places where you actually knew people, that doesn't go away. You and I, but a lot of people did. Tell me, oh, well, that happened so long ago. I'm sure people forgot about it. No, they didn't. People still make stuff about Natalie Bollinger, and they still don't tell the truth about the situation. They don't bother to look at both sides. They don't bother to get a hold of me. Now, if you look up Mike Boudet, this is one of my predators from before Natalie died. The only reason I was willing to go to them is because I was promised that they wouldn't release what I told them until after they caught Natalie's killer. Number one was that they had to let the cops have a copy of the evidence. Anything that I told them, they had to give that information to the police. Well, they didn't do that. Instead, each one sold their own messed up narrative. Very cool. How much is it? $1.99. Oh yeah, it's a hell of a good powder horn. Although I don't think that's what it's supposed to be for. And then this right here, this is a little fire pot. It's for fondue. $3.99. Really rich for my blood. Especially since I already have one. Anyway, Mother of Spiders type me. Ironic, pyronic type. I can't say I feel sorry for a predator. It would take a lot for me to forgive them. Don't they need to have their body cams on? They're supposed to, but that doesn't make it so that it's actually going to happen. That's why we have to record it. Are you really going to trust the cops to record themselves doing something wrong and then actually turning it in? No. What the cops did instead was press false charges on me over and over again. In Chapel, Nebraska, 11 times. They pressed over 30 different charges against me and had to drop every single one of them. Every single one. But they kept doing it again and again, and the people of Chapel, Nebraska weren't any nicer. Threatening to assault me, threatening to kill me, threatening to kill my family, assaulting me repeatedly. Yeah, not exactly my idea of a good time. Solution is more cowbell. Alright. I've been able to pace without getting rained on, so I won't be half freezing tonight. I didn't find any of the little trinkets that I'd normally go for. Alright, this is a trinket I might go for. Let's take a look. 99 cents for two of them. To answer the question about don't they need to have their body cams on, yes they do. When you're a homeless and disabled male, they just assume that nobody cares and they can break the law and still nobody's going to care. Oh, and also that's because they're right. People don't care. As long as it's not happening to them, they don't care. Oh, this is nice. If only I had a boat to put it on. Oh no, that's not what I thought it was. That's alright. Anyway, this channel is for optimism. That's what reaching out to my friends and family is. The possibility of the future. The possibility of getting actual help. The instructions for a disabled homeless male when we're abused is to go to our friends and family for help. That's before we go to the police, because we're so likely to get blown off. But when the police tell us to do something, well, they need to make sure that they're not telling disabled homeless people to do the police's job, because we don't have the unlimited resources that they do. And when they decide not to do their job, they have unlimited resources to prevent their victims from being heard. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. just got a tool that makes it so that I literally will not need to get anything from the lumberyard anymore. I can't use a planing axe anymore because of my wrist damage. That was because of the assault by wheel and roller tie. But I can use a spoke shave. I got a special wrist rig that I made up. It's got a couple of hooks on it, and I can actually hold it with my hand with them hooks on it, since it attaches behind my wrist. It makes it so that I can actually grab a hold of some things that are a little heavier and still carry them. My finger strength won't hold it. I'm trying to make sure I have the conversation recorded in case people pretend I'm some sort of nut job making it up. Let's see. Ironic typed. That's true. It feels like they're required by law to share video, though. They are required, but the thing is, if you have public pretenders who won't do their jobs, and you don't have any family to convince them they should do their job, they're not going to. That's why when Waylon Low Tie assaulted me, there was no body camera evidence. It was there, they just wouldn't requisition it. But when he assaulted 6 more people after me, yeah, the requisition was body cameras. Matter of fact, the news requisition was cameras. Here you go. Did I give you another kitty quarters back? No. You can keep 20 of those.
Okay. You have a good day.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's your receipt though, just in case.
Absolutely.
All right. You have a good night.
You too. Obviously, I buy things that are for a camp. That's being optimistic. I'm hoping to find a camp. I'm also getting things that when people say, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? Yes, I've got those things. If I don't have it with me, I've probably got it in storage. All of the stuff that people say, if you don't have this or you don't have that, then it means you're not trying to take care of yourself. Well, I've gone out and gotten nearly all of those things. I've wasted a lot of resources getting things so that when people say, hey, you're not trying, well, I've got a lot of things that show that I am trying. I've got a lot of evidence that shows that I've been trying for years. Ironic typed. Sounds like you're all set. No, I'm not. I don't have a camp. Oh, I got to show you something cool, though, because we are in Oregon. There's something here that we don't as often see in Washington State when I was up there. I went to Lincoln High School in Washington State. You should look up the demographics of it. This is a snail, and if you notice, the shell has been crushed and partially repaired. Let's touch his side and see if it moves. Alright, so he's alright. I am gonna pick him up and set him a little further over though, because he will get crushed here. He's literally that far from the line, so let's hope he's not poisonous. Oh, sorry, dude. Sorry. I don't want to set him on the lava rocks, so I'm gonna fuck, that hurts. God damn it. Set him right on the edge here. Alright. That old guy is lucky I don't like eating escargot. Just kidding, I've never tried escargot. I've been told that it's pretty good on a pizza. No, that's not what I was told, actually. I think I was told that it's popular on pizza in France. Alright, let's see. Ironic type, sounds like you're all set. Nice snail, he's got food now. Yeah. I'm not all set. This is an impulse buy. Probably something that I shouldn't have gotten until I have a place to put it. Apparently something went wrong. Let's check out my spoke shaves though. Any of you who know anything about ancient shipbuilding, you know what a spoke shave is. And they got two of them in here, a flat face and a round face. And this box is unopened. Oh my God. It's older than Jesus. All right, it's a good thing I've got busted ass saw blades in here. And it's also a good thing that I'm up to date on my tennis shots. This right here, I can scrape enough iron off this little piece here, or enough rust off of it to make a fire that's pretty hot. I should probably show that at some point. Alright, if you guys don't know what a spoke shave is, I'm about to show you. This is a spoke shave. Oh, good. For a second there I thought it was rust, but it's not. It's the plastic coating that they put on it so that it doesn't rust. It got discolored. But this is a spoke shave. You set this so that it'll only go to a certain depth, and then you actually, well, you pull it towards you or you push it away depending on. All right, one of them's called a draw knife, the other one's called a spoke shave. They work pretty much the same thing. One of them's a pull and one of them's a push. With a spoke shave, you pull towards you, and with the other one, with a draw knife, you pull it towards you. With a spoke shave, you push it away. But let's see, this is, I believe, the flat one, and this one should be the round. Let's check it out. Yep, this is rounded. This is for, you can actually gouge with these and make little cuts and divots in it. I actually watched a guy make he was making a medieval, the Dark Ages crossbow, you know, from Todd's stuff, TODD apostrophe S STUFF. He's a guy in the UK that he likes medieval stuff like trebuchets and things of that nature, and he'll actually show you how to make a medieval crossbow that'll work well enough for hunting birds and even rabbits. Ironic, Pyronic type. He's got food now. Yeah. Alright, so I think I already read that part. Anyway, you might have noticed that my speech patterns are kind of messed up. I'm not always like this. It's a matter of being stuck in a situation where I'm overwhelmed. Oh, and by the way, Ironic, Pyronic, thank you for not getting all butthurt in your mangina when I used a curse word and insulted you. I was just trying to impress upon you the importance of what it is that I was saying. A lot of people they've got these things they heard on Facebook, right? They've got these things that they read that they thought, hey, you know, that really sounds good. But when you try to apply it to somebody's actual situation, it doesn't fit so good. It's not just a you gotta love yourself thing, or a, hey, you just gotta hold your head up high, or you just gotta have a positive attitude. No, you have to have drive, and you have to commit to effort. You have to commit to action. Is your only action talking to the peanut gallery on YouTube, or are you speaking up on your own channel? Are you speaking up on Facebook and bringing awareness to individual cases? I try the best I can to bring attention to individual cases, not just my own, but those of others, because really, what kind of a piece of shit would I be if I went to an AA meeting and I only talked about myself, only cared about myself, and didn't allow anybody else to speak? And I did that at every AA meeting. When it comes to the other people that need help, your idea of helping them in an AA meeting is to talk about yourself and your trauma and your experience as an alcoholic. Well, not everything with AA is supposed to be about the alcohol. It's also supposed to be about recovery. As we all know, the gateway drug is not marijuana. It's trauma. Trauma. Ironic, Pyronic typed, it's fine, man. You must be a male then. I'm just assuming that because, well, this is the mutual disrespect that men have for one another and show for one another when they're trying to be respectful. Like, hey, I need you to get the point. I'm not telling you this emphasis on the shit with my babysitter because, and then fill in the blanks. You let them know why. When you go to somebody for help, the first thing you do is tell them what happened. You don't start off with the whole story all at once. You tell them what the crime was that was committed, and then you start at the beginning and tell them the details as an established timeline. That part's where my predators get to have so much fun with it. They get to poke me with a stick, and when I scream for help, they go, oh my God, he's being a horrible person to us. He's pretending like he's gonna kill us. We're afraid for our lives. That's the only reason we poked him with sticks is because we're afraid. Well, you poked me with sticks before I yelled at you. Big difference. Obviously, Ironic Pyronic is not getting all butthurt up his mangina. Of course, that's apparently the fun way to reach it. That's where the prostate's at. I need to find a piece of wood. When I had my shop outside of Boulder, Colorado, one of the guys out there, the maintenance guy, he stole a bunch of my stuff while I was on vacation getting my teeth pulled. Who would consider that a vacation other than me? I got to stay with Jerry Sparks in Bozeman, Montana. That was pretty nice. And I got all my teeth yanked out, 22 of them all pulled out at once. I also had, I want to say, 1 or 2 of them pulled as soon as I got there as emergency pulls. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of an emergency drain. They're not supposed to pull out your teeth while they're infected, but if there's a particular type of pustule that grows underneath it, they kind of have to, because they have to alleviate the pressure, because nothing's going to get in there. It gets so much pressure in there that it cuts off the blood flow and blood supply, and it starts turning the gum black. And the reason that it's turning the gums black is because that blood is trapped in there. It can't travel through the blood vessels. All the blood vessels are smushed with the blood in there. So the blood goes rotten inside of your face, and it starts eating your flesh. Not as in like literally eating it, but it starts to break down as a rotten piece of meat would, especially in a damp, warm environment. And that's what the abscess does. And they have to, basically by that point, that infection has eaten away a part of your jaw, and they basically just pop the tooth right out, and it squirts. Oh my God. Like, I felt so bad for the lady who did it, because it, ugh, gross. But that was like, I want to say she pulled 2 teeth that day, and then she pulled 22 almost 2 months later. I think it was like a month and a half later, maybe a month later, because after I got my teeth pulled, I still had to heal up, and I want to say I was there for about 2 weeks after I got my teeth pulled too. Tar Heel? Michelle Tar Heel. Are you from Tacoma, Washington by chance? Anyway, Mother of Spiders typed, geez, that's so sick. Michelle Tar Heel typed, I'll pray for you, Shawn. Please don't pray. Let me tell you something. If you put some food on the table and you pray for that food to make its way to your belly, God isn't going to put that food in your belly. You're going to have to reach forward, grab a hold of that food, stick it in your mouth, and swallow. You can pray for somebody who needs your help, Let's say your children when they're not able to feed themselves. You can pray for God to take that food and deliver it into your child's mouth. But between asking God to do something that you're capable of doing and doing it yourself, you have to make the decision on what kind of a person you're going to be. If you look enough on my channel, you'll notice that I curse a lot. Michelle Tarheel. All right, Michelle, my name's Shawn Schwartz. I was born October 18th, 1980. I went to school in Washington State. Now, I recognize your name, and I'm not going to say where from because that's your private business, and it might not be the same lady, but you have the same name as somebody that I know. Let's see. Ironic, Pyronic typed, I can't tell if you were angry with me or okay. I can't really help right now, like send money, because I'm a minor. Well, Ironic, Pyronic, it's probably not a good idea to be on my channel. If you're autistic, I can understand why you would be. If you're disabled or a victim of long-term abuse, I can understand why you would be. Let's see. Ironic, Pyronic also typed, if you really need it, that is. I really do need help, but the thing is, it's not money. I mean, I get money every month to live on. It's not enough to live on and to still do these other things that I have to pay for. I have to pay for them because I don't have a friend or family member to help me with those things. So I have to pay somebody to care enough to look at evidence and help me to turn it in, or it won't get taken seriously. I'll get treated like I'm a schizophrenic junkie who's only out here on the streets because I couldn't stop raping people's dogs, crazy shit like that. Now, as many of y'all know, I do complain quite a bit about how horrible it is to treat somebody like they're schizophrenic. It's even worse when you're not schizophrenic. But when somebody is schizophrenic, it's still horrible. Michelle Tarheel typed, I am schizophrenic. Well, Miss Tarheel, that's something that I do address on my channel a lot. One of the things that I speak about is that most of the people who actually talk to me are schizophrenic, are delusional. Many of them because of what's called a drug-induced psychosis, which you may very well know what it is. Ironic, Pyronic typed, I just stumbled upon your channel and was interested. Well, if you look up the name Natalie Bollinger, you'll be a lot more interested, and your parents will be a lot more interested too. It might get you in trouble watching my channel. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. We'll get back to Michelle Tarheel talking about being schizophrenic. Well, Michelle, a lot of the people through this situation are schizophrenic. Scott Scudder here, he's schizophrenic. There's Christian Reno Michael Bort is his name. He's a schizophrenic that I knew in Colorado. After I hurt my back in 2016, I basically had two sets of friends. I had the ones who were homeless, and I had the ones who were in houses. And that was before I hurt my back. After I hurt my back, I had one kind of friend, the schizophrenics. Everybody else, they could care less. After I hurt my back, until Natalie walked into my life, it was just me and people like Christian Reno Michael Bort. And Christian, he would come in and he'd tell me about the aliens, the greens and the blues, and how they're different from the grays. He would talk about how Janine Barrett was one of the purple lizard aliens. And so one day I went into Starbucks. I was known as Starbucks Shawn. And I went into Starbucks, and within 30 minutes going in there, I realized there were 6 people in there who had all told me that they were Jesus at some point. Now, I had been so sleep deprived by the cops harassing me almost every night since I'd hurt my back, and my friends blowing me off. They didn't have time, they didn't have time, they didn't have time. You know what eventually happened? I had a mental breakdown. I was sitting in Starbucks, and there were 6 people in there who had all told me, because they were all schizophrenic, They'd all told me that they were Jesus at one point. There was another guy who was schizophrenic. His name was Zach Boatman. And Zach Boatman used to run around telling people he was the devil and he was Lucifer and stuff like that. And I was so sleep deprived that I was looking at these 6 people that I knew in the room who had all told me that they were Jesus. And I remember thinking to myself, well, where the fuck is Zach Boatman? He could tell me which one's the real Jesus. That's right, because even when I'm sleep deprived, I'm fucking funny. Ironic type, I stumbled across the channel. Oh, Michelle Tarhill typed, how can we help you? Well, you can speak up about how disabled people are treated, how homeless people are treated, and you can find out about my individual case and speak up about how the term mentally ill is used to victimize all of us. First of all, to pretend that we're all schizophrenic and delusional, and that deprives us of our rights as disabled people. Whether you're schizophrenic or not, the treatment of somebody who is schizophrenic is to blow them off and pretend whatever crime happened to them didn't happen. This is why people who are schizophrenic are among the most likely to be abused, assaulted, physically and sexually among all disabled people. Once somebody is called schizophrenic, that's the end of the fucking road for them. There is no further advancement in our society or in their lives. And it pretty well stays that way. Michelle Tarhill typed, yeah, I have paranoid schizophrenia delusions of people watching me, etc. Well, yes, ma'am. You know, my predators go through on my channel and they sometimes record the things that I'm saying. And for me to read your stuff, they can go ahead and take me to court and pretend that I was claiming that I am those things instead of me reading that you were the one who was saying those things. And they'll try to use that against me, as they have many times before. Yes, they've used me reading people's comments to pretend like I'm a predator. I got multiple Facebook bans because I was posting up screenshots of people who were threatening to kill me and my friends and family over and over again. Michelle Tarhill typed, yes, they can take all your rights. They absolutely do. As a man, I've got it even worse than a woman as far as that goes. But I have to acknowledge this happens to women frequently and often. Michelle Tarhill typed, why are you taking pictures of this? Well, sometimes people want to take my words and use them out of context, and they're able to get away with it if I don't have evidence of it. If I'm talking to you and I read something that you typed at me, like when you typed, yeah, I have paranoid schizophrenia delusions of people watching me, etc. If I don't explain that Michelle Tarhill was the one who typed that and have evidence of it, that Michelle Tarhill typed that and that I was just reading what she typed and was addressing it, then my predators get to pretend that I'm claiming I'm actually paranoid schizophrenia with delusions. I'm paranoid as fuck, but that's because of long-term abuse. And there's a big difference between being paranoid because of abuse and being paranoid of purple aliens residing within your friend's mothers. Christian Reno Michael Bort, he was friends with Derek Parrish, and Derek Parrish's mom was the evil alien queen, according to him. Michelle Tarhill typed, why am I EVEI? Wow, now I'm evidence. You could be, potentially. That depends on how people try to take what it is that I'm saying right now. Michelle Tarhill typed, why am I evidence? Well, this is just evidence that you and I have had this conversation. If someone tries to claim that me reading what you typed about being schizophrenic was an admission from me about being schizophrenic, then I've got the evidence that, of course, people are taking it out of context and trying to put words in my mouth that aren't actually there. This is not that you have done anything wrong, because you absolutely have not done anything wrong. You typing to me is not illegal, it's not immoral, and Michelle Tarhill typed, that's not sufficient. Ah, well, what is sufficient as evidence of it? Because, see, here's the thing. Sure, it might not be sufficient evidence, them just claiming that I said something. It might not be sufficient evidence, but they've never had to have sufficient evidence. I'm a homeless and disabled male. Like what you typed earlier about, yes, they can take all of your rights. For them to take away my rights, no, that's not sufficient, but they do it anyway, as you've already acknowledged. Now, just because that's not sufficient doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. The reason that I record this stuff is because I've been so-called caught with my pants down because I didn't have the ability to record or take screenshots of it. And my predators were able to have me put in jail or prison and have court without me. And to claim that I was saying things that I didn't. That I was claiming things about myself that I didn't claim. Now, there's a lot of... That's not right. Come on now. I was trying to scroll up, and it wouldn't let me do that. Instead, it's trying to get me to do something. I don't know. I exited out of whatever options it was giving me. Now, obviously, Michelle Tarhill is not some horrible person. Based on what she typed. Michelle, I'm pretty sure you and I know each other. This is just a shot in the dark. You might be related to somebody I know. The Michelle Tarhill that I know is probably around my age, give or take 5 years. Give or take 4 years. I only say that because of the place that I was at and how old you're allowed to be in order to be there. This video is 1 hour and 18 minutes long already. It wasn't originally supposed to be. I got the spoke shaves, so I suppose I should go waste some money on a piece of wood that I don't actually need, but it's too late to go get that. Lumberyard's closed already. True Value might still... No, it's 6:30. They won't be open either. They didn't have any wood there either. Yeah. It takes a while to whittle something down with a spoke shave. I'll probably start off with a solid rod and shave it down, and then I'll split out either end and put some dowels through it so that I can take some board shakes and I'll spoke shave them down, or depending on how well it splits, I could sand it down. When it comes to what is sufficient, when you're called mentally ill, everything is sufficient. Just an accusation is good enough when you're called mentally ill. Now you, even as a woman with all the benefits that women get from our society just for being women, you probably have a lot of experience at still not having the rights that women are supposed to have because they call you mentally ill and then those rights dissolve. So when it comes to what's sufficient and what's not, well, you obviously are more than just paranoid, all right? Because of what you have been through, you're what's called hypervigilant. This means and denotes that you've gone through actual experiences and you know what to look for and why. Like you were aware that I was taking screenshots. You were aware that there was a reason. You were intelligent enough to ask that reason. And rather than throwing a tantrum and treating me like crap, like I'm a horrible person for showing evidence that this situation actually happened, well, you were asking why you were evidence. You're not evidence. Not unless my predators try claiming that I was saying I was schizophrenic and delusional, and that I had admitted it on my channel. If they try claiming that you don't exist, that you're a figment of my imagination, that you are a paranoid delusion, I've got evidence here that you are not a paranoid delusion, that you're not a figment of my imagination, that you do indeed and in fact exist. Now, as far as treating somebody like they're schizophrenic, somebody who is schizophrenic is between 5 and 8 times more likely to be the victim of physical assault than to be the one actually committing the physical assault. People can antagonize somebody who is called mentally ill, including pushing and shoving and yelling at them to try to get a response, and then play victim. Oh, she's mentally ill. She's mentally ill. She's mentally ill. She has no idea what she's saying. She's mentally ill. 40%. Now, this is an estimation by doctors. It is estimated that 40% of those diagnosed with schizophrenia in the United States are not, in fact, schizophrenic. That's the power of gaslighting. You try to tell on a bad cop who didn't do his job and it got your best friend shot in the fucking head. And all they got to do is run around and use the term mentally ill very loosely to insinuate that you're schizophrenic. And so people treat you like shit. And then once they've let that set in for a while, then they go for the jugular and outright claim to hospitals that you're schizophrenic. And those hospitals want to believe those officers. They want to believe them because how many times has an actual schizophrenic person been taken to the hospital by police, and the police say, hey, you know, we picked this person up, he's schizophrenic, we've got a history with him, and, you know, he needs to be treated for schizophrenia. I'm sure many of you parents who have schizophrenic children have gone through that, where your kid is being bullied and for some odd reason your child is the one locked up. Well, it's because they were called mentally ill, and your predators can do whatever they want to you and call you mentally ill. Especially if your mental illness, this is a mental disability. It is a disability. And it is being exploited to harm you. That's a felony, whether you're wearing a badge or not. That is a felony. Even if you are a federal judge, that is a felony. For what they did to me, it's a mandatory minimum 6 years. There aren't very many things that have a mandatory minimum to them. The only things, literally the only things that have a mandatory minimum to them are drug offenses in some states and heinous crimes. If you do it to a disabled person, to an elderly person, or to a child, you are taking advantage of someone in an at-risk situation, and you are committing a felony. Anyway, I'm going to end this video now, I guess. Michelle Tarheel is done typing at me. And it looks like the other 2 viewers disappeared too. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind. By the way, I don't believe that you're paranoia, at least in this particular case. I can't call it paranoia because it's hypervigilance. You're looking out for yourself. You wanted to know why you were being taken a picture of. Obviously, it's not an actual picture of you, and you didn't mean that I was taking an actual picture of you. And that I could, because you admitted to being schizophrenic, I could pretend like you believe I'm taking pictures of the actual you through the computer screen or something like that. But it's a smartphone, and I'm barely smart enough to use it just for this right here. Matter of fact, I needed help setting up my YouTube channel and figuring out how to use it on the telephone. Anyway, good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's too. And no victim left behind. Not even if they really are schizophrenic. That doesn't make this treatment okay.